Hi, I'm Simone Fisher from Simone Quilts. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to sew a quarter circle block, also known as a drunkard's path block. You can use this same method to sew a half circle block or a full circle block. If you would like more information on how to cut these shapes out of fabric using templates, make sure to head to my blog at simonequilts.com. When you're getting ready to sew your quarter circle block, there are a few things that you need to be prepared. First, you want your fabric pieces, so you have your arch piece or the concave piece, and then you have your clamp piece, also known as the convex piece. For your sewing machine, if your sewing machine has these abilities, you want the needle to be in the down position when you stop, because you're going to be starting and stopping a lot as you go around your curve, and you don't want your fabric to shift when that happens. And then it's also really nice to have a shorter stitch length. It just creates a smoother curve. So I'll go ahead and show you how I like to sew these curves. Take your clamp piece and fold it in half and just press it pretty firmly in the center to create a center crease. And do the same with your arch piece. You just want to make sure that you're not pulling on this too much or at all if possible, because this is a bias edge. So take your arch piece and put it over your clamp piece right sides together and line up those crease marks along the edge and put a pin in it. And then you also want to put a pin on either side. So gently take it over to the edge and line it up at the corner and put a pin in it. I like to put a pin in right as far into the edge as I can, and also at the corners, like this. And you can use more pins if you'd like, but I'll tell you why when I'm sewing, why I don't do that. Let's go ahead and get this second one in. And this is what it looks like. So the first thing that I like to do is stretch very gently between the pins with my hand, making sure that they're flat, and then gently bringing over the arch piece and mold it to the clamp piece, like this. So my thumb is in the center crease area, and then I have a finger kind of in the middle, and then another finger towards the pin at the edge. So then I take it over to my sewing machine and lower my presser foot, and I align it to the edge of my quarter inch foot. And I have my machine set to scant 1/4 inch, but I know not everybody does that, so it's definitely not required, but that's just how I like to do it. Then you just want to take one stitch into your fabric. Just one. That's when I feel comfortable removing my pin. So I'm just going to nudge it over here. So I'm going to start slowly stitching along the edge. And I'm using the edge of the 1/4 inch foot, not necessarily the 1/4 inch mark on my machine. So stopping, moving the fabric a little. One tip when you start getting towards the top of the clamp piece, just make sure that you don't start sewing a straight edge here, because it will look more square when you press. I've gotten to the center piece, so I'm going to take my pin out. And then I'm going to do the same thing that I did before. I'm going to lightly stretch, gently stretch the piece and mold my arch piece to my clamp piece. I have my fingers in place. I'm holding this edge with the pin with my thumb, and then my other fingers here to make that shape. Keep sewing. So my arch fabric is starting to gather a little bit, so I'm going to lift my presser foot and gently move it out of the way. Once you get to this spot, it can be a little tricky getting your finger in there to hold things in place once you take the pin out. So you can use a stiletto or a seam ripper to help you keep that fabric in place. So I'm going to use this seam ripper. And you're done. So the first thing that I like to do is take a look at the arch piece to see if any of the creases have gone across the seam line. So it looks pretty good here. I got pretty lucky. There aren't any obvious creases. They're just a few creases from the presser foot. And what I like to do is just gently rub those out a little bit, because if I took it to the iron right away, it might actually make the creases worse if I press them. So I just like to just rub them out a little bit. And there you have your quarter circle block. When you are pressing, just make sure that you press very gently, because this is a bias edge and can stretch really easily. And I like to press towards the clam piece because it creates just a little bit of dimension. It almost looks like an applique piece. And there you have it.